P.J. Scott here, your Navy Waves veteran, 1971 to 1979. And I'm glad you joined us. It's spring, and both I think my guest and I have some little allergies, so stay with us while we clear our throats. Spring is in the air, as they say. My guest with me is Fred Machado, and
That's
you
right.
too are a Navy man.
I am a Navy man and proudly served from 51 to 55 and came out as a second-class boatswain's mate.
Great. Well, here on Veterans Forum, I want my viewers to know that you had a life before you were in the Navy and a life after. I know we all enjoy those war movies, but believe me, even combat veterans had a life before and a
That's right.
life after. So tell us where you were born and raised.
Well, I was born in Europe, actually in the Azores Islands, islands that belong to Portugal, but they are about halfway between the United States and Portugal, middle of the Atlantic. I was born an American citizen because my father was a citizen before me.
Oh.
And we lived there for a number of years, and then in 1949 he decided we better all go back to America, and he had been here before, so we came. And we arrived here in 49. Then naturally, what do? You go, we did farm work, milk cows, pick grapes, pick cotton, did everything that farm workers do.
Now, did you take a ship from the Azores?
No, took a plane.
You took a plane in 49?
Well,
wow.
Yeah, well, they had a big international airport in one of the islands there. That the planes in those days going to Europe had to stop to refuel.
I see.
See, they couldn't make it across.
So I don't think did you fly from the Azores to Fresno
No,
County? Where you must have made a pit stop
let me tell you
somewhere.
what, we flew from the Azores to Nova Scotia and stopped there overnight, and then flew from Nova Scotia to New York, and then New York to California. We took the train.
Now, how old were you when this happened?
I was 16 then.
Oh, okay, so you remember all the details.
Well, I can remember a lot of stuff.
And how many brothers and sisters went with you?
There's 7 of us total. I have there's 3 brothers and 3 sisters. Unfortunately, one of my brothers, 6 years younger than I, has passed away. The rest of us all live here within 30 miles of each other.
Now, how did you decide to come to Fresno County?
Oh, well, because my dad had been here before when he was a young man.
Oh,
and,
I see.
And during the war. And he had a sister that lived here, and we had a lot of relatives here in this area. And so this was the place to come. Although my dad was not a farmer, he didn't like farming. He worked in a steel, he had worked when he was a young man in the Bay Area in the ferries that, remember, before the Golden Gate Bridge and the Bay Bridge, there was ferries so my dad worked in there in the 20s.
Right.
And then during the war, he came back in 39 and he worked in the shipyards in Richmond.
Oh, okay.
And then you went back after the war, and then that's when we all came over, and he thought maybe the whole family would better to come to a farming community. And it was right, because this was one of our hearts.
Right.
This is, I've been milking cows since I was 8 years old, and I can remember when I was without animals.
Now, we're probably jumping a little forward here, but do you have a dairy yourself?
I did have one for 40 years, but I'm out now.
Oh, okay.
We sold out.
I see.
Now we do just farming. We farm grapes and almonds, and we're very diversified there. And the dairy facility is still available. It's leased out, but I believe that those people are going to be moving out soon, and we're going to just demolish the whole thing and put all in farming.
I see. Now, you were 16 when you got here, and I'm thinking, how many years was it before you found yourself in the Navy?
It was less than 2.
And why did you decide to join the Navy?
Because more than one reason. One of the reasons I just knew that I had to do something for this blessed country, and I want to help serve it.
Right.
The other reason is the Korean War broke out in June 25th of 1950,
right.
And I joined the Navy in November of 50.
Okay.
So, but because there were so many people going in, 2 other fellows and I joined together right here in Fresno.
Oh, okay.
And they told us, well, you'll be leaving sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Well, came Thanksgiving and Christmas, they said, no, there's too many people going in. We can't accommodate them all. It's going to be January.
Oh,
Well, comes January, I said, well, it's going to be March. Finally, March 11th, we left.
uh-huh,
And went to San Francisco to take a physical, get sworn in, and
right,
get on a train back to San Diego, and came through Fresno that night, and
right.
just to wish Fresno goodbye, because I knew it was going to be a while before we see it.
How did your parents feel about you joining?
Oh, well, they understood, and
Right.
I think
Right.
they were really proud that.
Well, you had a lot of brothers. Did they join the military as well?
One of my brothers served in the Navy also
Oh,
after
okay.
me.
Uh-huh,
He went in '54,
uh-huh.
and the rest of them did not go in the military.
Well, clearly you were in during the Korean War, and I want to make this clear on every war. I know we love all these war movies, but for every man that's in combat, depending on who you talk to, I hear is anything between 15 to 25 men are in a support role to provide for that man to be in combat. So the vast majority of military people don't find themselves in combat. So you were in the Navy. Tell us how you got assigned to your
Well,
ship and
let
where.
me tell you something. Well, how I got assigned to the ship, that was Navy doings.
Sure.
When I got out of boot camp, when we graduated from boot camp, the orders came in where each sailor was going to go to, and out of my company in boot camp, 23 of us went aboard the Montague,
Uh-huh.
the USS Montague.
Now, talking about you as a young man,
Yeah,
you
well,
have a really nice photo of yourself
I
in your
do.
uniform. Let's see that now.
all right.
This handsome young man who
Well,
finds
well,
himself
look
in the
at-
Navy.
Well, look at that picture, and
There he is.
yeah, I was young one time.
Well, we all
That's
were,
the picture.
people. We all
Can
were.
you see it there?
Now, how old were you there, Fred?
19.
19? Okay. And I imagine you sent that to your folks or a picture
of
like
course,
yeah,
of course.
right.
Folks and friends and
Where was the picture taken? In San Diego?
San Diego.
Okay. Yep. My
Yeah.
picture was taken at Coronado, San
Yeah, no,
Diego.
it was in San
Yeah.
Diego.
Right.
And
And show us a picture of your ship, the
and
Montague.
the picture of the ship. This is the ship that.
Now, is
uh,
that picture named after someone?
Yeah, the Navy during World War II and Korea and all that era, these type of ships, AKAs and APAs, were named for counties, and my ship was named for a county in Texas.
Oh, okay.
USS Montague. Montague County in Texas is a rural county there, not too far from Dallas, Fort Worth. And we had a reunion there here a few years ago.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
see the picture? Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a
Okay.
destroyer there,
No,
Fred?
no, that's a cargo and troop ship.
Oh, okay. Well, my viewers know I don't see that well, so
yeah.
that's why I ask.
No,
Okay.
what we did, my ship was in invasion of Incheon in 1950, September 15th of 50. But I was not there because I was in the Navy at the time. But my ship participated in that invasion.
Oh, okay. Now, when you were on your ship, what was the purpose of the ship? To drop off Marines or supplies, or what was it?
That's absolutely right. We
Okay.
carried 24 boats aboard, LCVPs and LCMs. And those are the boats that you probably have seen many times on television. They hit the beach, drop the ramp, and they walk out or drive the vehicles out.
Right.
Well, that's what we did.
Right.
And we did many practice invasions to be prepared for Korea.
Uh-huh.
And after I was on the ship, we went to Korea many times, and we delivered troops, we delivered equipment, and we pick up some and bring them back to Japan. Japan was our home port overseas.
Right. Right.
And
Now, did you ever take fire? Did the ship ever take fire?
not with me in this, no.
Okay.
Not
well,
on my time.
Thank God, your mom was
Yeah.
praying for
No,
you.
but let me tell you. Let me tell you one thing. We were in a war zone.
Yes,
many
you were.
times, many
Right.
times.
Right.
But one special occasion that I remember is in March of '52. I believe it was the USS Wisconsin was hit by shore battery, and that night they called everybody back to their ships and head for Korea, and we were up and down the north coast of Korea, clear up to the DMZ.
Oh,
And
okay.
we picked up some wounded Marines, and we had to be on our guns all the time, constantly. They had to be manned 24 hours a day, and we spent 8 hours at the guns, 4 hours off, 8 at the guns. There's always, but you have to be ready for action at all times.
So do I
But
take it
this-
your ship must have had, tell me you had more than one hospital corpsman on board?
Oh God, yes, we had.
Yeah, okay.
We always had a doctor,
Uh-huh.
and we had, I don't know, 4 or 5 corpsmen.
So you knew from the jump that picking up wounded was going to be part of the Montague's
sure,
duty?
sure,
Oh, okay, so
sure.
this wasn't just a random, oh gee, we're
No.
doing this out of
No,
the
no,
blue?
no.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you a little more about the Montague later as we go along, because this was, I told you, 1952, then in 53, and we came back to the States in July of 52. And we stopped in Hawaii for 3 days. That was the first recreation we had there, 9 months.
Uh-huh.
And then we were here for a good part of 53. We went up to Burlington, Washington for the shipyard for repairs.
Yeah.
Then in May of 53, we picked up, I believe, was the 1st Army Division in Fort Lewis, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Not just my ship, there was a lot of ships. They kept
Right.
the whole division.
Oh, yes, of
And
course.
we went to Hawaii for 3 days, for 30 days. And all we did was land them on beaches. They would stay for 3 or 4 days, then we'd pick them back up, go land them at another beach, and we did this for 30 days.
This was training them to
That's a
prepare?
training, yeah, we're getting ready to go to Korea.
Okay.
Okay, this is May of 53.
Okay.
And but the war ended in July 27th of 53. So
Right.
We did, but however, in late July, we were part of the convoy that took the 3rd Marine Division to Japan too.
Oh,
Made
okay.
a 30-day trip. We loaded them in San Diego, took them to Japan, and came back, and we're here until October. And then in October of 53, we left, and we were overseas for 11 months then.
Mm-hmm.
In that time, in that period of time, this is 54 now, the Korean War is over, but there's tension.
Well, the hostilities are over, but I did think
But
the
there's
peace
the tension,
negotiating.
there's tension, oh yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
made-
yeah,
We
right.
made many more trips to Korea.
Right.
And then in, I believe it was in May of 54, May or June, the war in Vietnam ended between the French and the Viet Cong.
Okay, yeah, this didn't involve Americans at the time. When you say war in Vietnam, everyone's
Yeah.
thinking about our particular, yeah, there was,
Yeah.
Vietnam had problems way before.
But I want to
Yeah.
tell you that the part that my ship played in that war.
Oh, please do.
And after the French and the Vietnamese reached an agreement, they divided the country. It became North and South Vietnam. Then the French asked for the U.S. They had 1 year to evacuate anybody that want to come from the north to the south. South was free, north was communist.
Right, right.
Okay, so the French asked the U.S. government for help, and I don't know how many ships were there, but our ship was one of them. And we evacuated. Total evacuation took almost a year, and we weren't there the whole year. Was 310,000 refugees. We picked them up in Haiphong, brought them to Saigon. And these were people that were destitute, had nothing. They had all they'd been run off by the communists in the north. All they had is the possessions they carried with them. I never forget one guy had a chicken tied up to a pole in his back. And of course, we couldn't let him take the chicken on the ship.
Oh, well,
But he came aboard with that chicken. And we were there for 3 months. And the trip took 2.5 days from Haiphong to Saigon. And then we'd have to feed all these people. You know, we bring 2,000 at a time in our ship.
uh-huh.
And the only thing we could do, we set up some special pots. We cooked rice, and we gave them rice and sardines. That's what they ate for 2 days. And they were very scared, these people, because they've been brainwashed by the communists. That
Right,
the
right.
Americans going to take you out to the middle of the ocean and dump you. And they were very reluctantly. But then, after a day or two aboard ship, they were relaxed and they mingled with us. And it was just a great experience. It's something that made you think, thank God that I live in the most blessed country in the world, that we don't
Right.
go through this mess.
That's right, that's
See,
right.
when get back to Korea, when I first got there in late 51, and then early 52, and I went ashore. See, I usually went ashore in Korea in ports that that we could tie up to or anchor. And I saw little kids eat off of garbage cans, abandoned kids with no parents, with nothing.
How
You don't think
pathetic.
that touches your heart?
Oh,
I
yeah.
just want to get the heck out of there, get back to the ship, and thank God it was a hard thing to take. I know one day I ever forget these kids coming begging. I had some change in my pocket. I just took it and gave it to them, and I hightailed it back to my ship.
Really? Really?
That was really really something.
Well, let's switch gears here. Well, Fred, it sounds like you just crisscrossed the whole Pacific while you were on the Montague, but you did mention being in Korea, and I'd like to hear a few more of your impressions
Well,
of,
as I
of
told
Korea.
you earlier, how Korea was the poverty that existed there, how everything was tore up, the buildings were old and knocked down,
Right.
the people were destituted, there was hardly no automobiles, and the thing is, I had the privilege of going back last year, 2012, almost 60 years later, almost 60 years later.
Right.
And today, South Korea is the 10th largest economy in the world. You cannot believe how that's been rebuilt, how there is no, you don't see poverty anywhere, you don't see anybody begging in the streets, you don't see any graffiti on the walls.
Wonderful.
They're proud people. The children go to schools, they all wear uniforms, nice and neat.
Uh-huh.
But the thing that I would emphasize, and I hope a lot of veterans are watching this, is that you should go back and revisit Korea. The Korean government's got this program that they're inviting every Korean veteran to come back and revisit Korea because they know it was us that gave them the freedom that they have. And they take you there for a week. You only pay for a half of your airfare, and 70% of your wife or daughter or son or guest, anybody you want to take with you, they'll pay 30% of their fare. And then once you get there, you don't have to spend a dime. They put you in the finest hotels, give you the finest food. It's just unbelievable. And every day, wherever you go, they thank you for being there.
Now, who would they contact to get information about
Well,
that,
you got to
Fred?
contact the Korean War veterans. And I do have the address at home. I'm sorry I didn't bring it.
Well, look it up on the
Yeah.
net, or if you don't
That's
have the
right.
net, I'm sure
And
you got someone who
I
can
encourage you
do
to
it.
go because the Korean government is asking you to go. They want you to go. And the young children, when I was there last year, and these children meet us. See, remember, Korea War, the United Nations was involved. So they take groups from the various nations that
Right.
fought there. Now, when I was there, the day we went last year, there was 84 from the U.S., and I didn't know any of them.
Oh,
We just
okay.
met there, but we all had something in common.
Right.
And there was a group from the Philippines and a group from Denmark. And those young children come and should hear them sing God Bless America
Oh,
in
wow.
English.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man, I'll tell you, brings tears to your eyes. You can't help
Yeah,
it.
right.
And then and they're waving American flags, and in that case, they had the Philippine flag
Right,
and the
right.
Danish flag they were
Right,
waving.
right.
And they're just thankful that we were there.
Right.
It's a great thing. And then they will present you, if you served in Korea, with a medal, a gold medal, beautiful medal. It's called the Ambassadors of Peace medal.
Oh, okay.
And they'll have a banquet one night with dignitaries from every branch of government in Korea, I guess, including, the night I was there, we had a U.S. general, major general, and we had a rear admiral. They were all part of the program, and it's just great. I encourage people to go. I hope that if you're watching this, by all means, do go.
Yeah, if you're a veteran of the... Actually, let me ask you something. We've had troops on that parallel line. We still have troops there.
Yes, we do.
Is this just strictly for men and the few women that were in the Korean War, or if you just served on that parallel line in the late 50s to...
I believe that you had to be in Korea or in the Korean waters during the war.
During the war.
In
Oh,
order
okay.
to qualify for this program.
Oh, okay.
Because if you were stationed in Europe, I don't think that.
Well, no, I'm saying if you were stationed in Korea after the 1950s war.
Oh yes, yes.
That-
Yeah,
so
I don't know how far they go
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, but you can stay
Okay,
17
so
short.
look into
Yeah.
that, because that sounds like a wonderful opportunity.
It's a tremendous opportunity.
So when did you get out?
I got out in '55, and my ambition was to farm. And I had little money. I managed to save a little bit of money in the Navy out of the meager pay that we had in those days.
Right, right,
But I had $3,000 that I saved up.
right. So were
And
you able to get a VA farm loan?
No, wait a minute. Later, I bought my car, the first car I ever owned, '52 Chevy, used. But it was a nice little car. And I got a job milking cows. I don't know, I'm not going to do this the rest of my life. So a guy offered me a job driving a truck, and I took that, and that was 7 days a week, and 14 hours a day. I said, no, I can do better than that in the Navy if I have to do this for a living.
Right.
So my ambition was to farm, and I found a guy that had 25 acres of land that he wanted to lease out. And so I leased it. I bought a used tractor and a disc and a cultivator for a total of $750 in those days. And that was my beginning of farming. And the following year, I rented more land, and I bought my first place, 40 acres, and I got married in '57.
Okay, I was
And,
about to ask you, when did
and-
the little
and-
woman pop up?
And today, we thank God every day for our good fortune, but we own about 810 acres that we farm, and now most of the time it's my son and son-in-law that run the business, and my wife and I do a lot of traveling. But we enjoy it, and I've had a wonderful life.
Good.
I got a great family, 3 kids, 6 grandchildren, and the fact that you live in this blessed land. And I do, and I ask everybody to thank God every day that you're a free American.
Amen. Amen. Now, do you belong to any veteran service
I belong to
organization?
every veteran service organization there is.
Yeah, sometimes I felt like that too.
I
although-
belong to VFW, the American Legion. I even joined the Disabled American Veterans, not that I'm disabled, but they needed members, and the guy that told me, said, if you were ever in the Naval Hospital, you qualify. I said, well, I had the measles after I was in the Navy, but that's not really. But
Right.
anyhow, I joined to
support
help
that
him
group.
out. And otherwise, today I volunteer 2 days a week at the Veterans Memorial Museum, the Legion of Valor here in Fresno,
Yes.
one of the finest museums in the country. I
Yes.
hope that any of you who travel through here will stop and visit us.
Yes.
We're open 6 days a week. There is no charge, although we always welcome donations. And I still live in a farm. I hope to live there until the good Lord calls me home. And in the meantime, my wife and I do a lot of traveling. In fact, we're getting ready to leave next week and go to Yellowstone National Park. And I want to go to Mount Rushmore and different places like
Right.
that.
Right. Right.
So it's a great life. I'm tremendously proud to be a veteran. I proudly wear my hat wherever I go. It says either Korean War veteran or the USS Montague. And
How often do you get together with your Montague buddies?
once a year, we have a reunion coming up in September. And it's going to be in Roanoke, Virginia, and we have a reunion every year.
Wonderful.
That's great.
Well, Fred, I really enjoyed talking to you, and I appreciate all that zigzagging, the Montague, and I'm sure the Montague wasn't alone. There was a whole
Oh, there was a
fleet
whole bunch of ships. A whole bunch of
ships going back and forth
See,
and supporting our
let me
vets.
tell you something that's got me concerned today, and I think that should have all of us concerned. When I see the politicians in Washington spend money foolishly and then turn around and cut the budget in defense, that is something that worries me.
Yes.
Our Constitution provides for common national defense is one of the things we have to do. It doesn't provide to make social programs and this kind of thing. We must tell people they've got to be responsible for themselves. Sure, we don't want anybody to go to bed hungry at night, but we don't want any abuses either. And we have a
Right.
lot of abuses today. They're sticking our taxpayers' money in a way that's unbelievable. And
Well, we need to take care of our military or.
Should be the number one thing.
Yes, I agree with you, and I think all the veterans out there,
The other thing
we
I wanna-
need to take care of our
The
military
other thing I want to
first.
tell you is that the Korean War veterans, we have a great organization called Korean War Veterans Association.
Yes,
And I've been a life member. I've been a member for many years. And I encourage all of you who are Korean War veterans to join and be part of it.
yeah. Well, Fred, it was really nice talking to you. We've come to the end of our time, and I want to thank you and everyone who served in any capacity, whether you're in the background, the trenches, the ship. My my children have a great uncle that was killed in the Korean War, and my father was in the Korean War. So this June and July, we're thinking about our veterans of the Korean War, and I'm so glad you got to go back and give us such a great report that our
it's
time
great.
there was well worth it.
I encourage people to go back and visit Korea if you can.
Well, thank you, Fred. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
a guest on Veterans
done?
Forum. And if you're a vet, try to look into a veteran service organization that would suit you. Veterans of Foreign War, you have to be in country, not necessarily combat, although there is a group called Combat Vets, if that's the case. American Legion, which I belong to, you just simply have to have been in during a period of war. I never went to Vietnam. The closest I got was North Island, San Diego. I belong to the DAV, Blinded Vets. I've interviewed vets from paralyzed vets. There is a lot of veteran service organizations. Get involved in the one that you would like to support. This is PJ Scott, and if you're a vet or taking care of a vet, God bless you. Till next time, bye-bye.